Welcome everyone to our Braintrust series at PeaceRise. My name is Jeremy Fritzhand, co-organizer of PeaceRise and the Innovation Challenge. PeaceRise is a vibrant community of peace partners dedicated to driving innovation for global peace. This community and Innovation Challenge is an initiative of Alloy Growth Lab, a top 10 business incubator based in Cincinnati, Ohio. These sessions are meant to connect and inspire participants of the Innovation Challenge and share knowledge from subject matter experts in their respective fields. The format of the session will be a brief introduction, followed by a presentation, and then opening up to Q&A. Feel free to drop your questions in the chat, and we will announce them at the end of the presentation. Today, we're honored to have an inspiring guest speaker with us, Dr. Leah Lewis, the founder and CEO of Cocoon Technologies. Dr. Lewis has an impressive background that spans various industries and roles. With a strong commitment to diversity, safety, and empowerment, Dr. Lewis has founded and led several organizations, including 3 Butterflies Entertainment and Press, Little Lumpy's Center for Educational Initiatives, and of course, Cocoon Technologies. Cocoon Technologies is a software company dedicated to improving public safety and policing by providing progressive and humane tech solutions. Driven by a desire to foster safety and peace of mind for both civilians and law enforcement officers, Cocoon Technologies is moving policing into the 21st century. The company has been recognized as a member of G-Beta Social Impact Accelerator cohort, Ohio Accelerate, and the MIT Solve Unbundling Policing, Reimagining Public Safety Incubator cohort. Dr. Lewis's educational journey is equally impressive. With degrees from Bowling Green State University, Howard University School of Law, Yale Divinity School, and Ashland Theological Seminary. Her diverse experiences in education, entertainment, writing, and political leadership have all contributed to her holistic approach to technology and public safety. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Leah Lewis as she shares her founder story and the impactful work being done at Cocoon Technologies.
Jeremy, thank you so much for that wonderful introduction, and I'm happy to be with you all today. Jeremy, I do thank you for the opportunity to share my founder story with you all. So I started Cocoon Technologies, excuse me, in 2021 after learning about the death of Daunte Wright in Brooklyn Center, Minnesota. You may recall that we all were watching the Derek Chauvin murder trial, excuse me, for his killing of George Floyd around that time. When I learned about Daunte's death, I literally hit the roof. As a graduate of Howard University School of Law, I could not understand why so many people, both motorists and law enforcement officers, were dying during traffic stops. A traffic stop should lead to you getting a warning, a citation, a ticket, then paying the citation or the ticket or having your day in court. It should not lead to your death. So I went into prayer that evening. I'm actually Reverend Dr. Leah Lewis, as Jeremy indicated, and it was a prayer of lament. Did not sleep well that night, tossed and turned. At one point, I literally felt like I went somewhere in the spirit realm. The next morning, I woke up and I had the idea for our solution, which is called LARA. LARA stands for License and Registration App. I had the idea nearly fully formed. So I contacted the only tech founder I knew at that time. I now know hundreds, and I shared the idea with him. And he said, Leah, that will keep police officers safe too. So he helped me see that I had a mutually beneficial solution in the policing and public safety space. As a result, I decided to start Cocoon Technologies, and we've been off and running ever since. So that is the backstory, that's the founding story, that's the mythology behind Cocoon Technologies.
Dr. Lewis, let me know when you'd like me to advance the slides.
Yes, next slide, please. So you've learned the inspiration, and you know, the top 30 municipalities over the course of 10 years that have paid out for wrongful death lawsuits resulting from police brutality have paid out over $3 billion. That's 3 billion with a B. Each of those dollars represents the loss of life. It is our goal that people walk away, whether they are the motorists, whether they are the law enforcement officers, that they walk away from a traffic stop. It is our contention that a traffic stop should not lead to someone's death, whether they are a motorist or whether they are law enforcement. We want everyone to walk away from a traffic stop safely. So that's the inspiration, life, which is sacred. That is what inspires us at Cocoon Technologies. So when we talk about societal needs, obviously public safety is an essential need. Having the sanctity of life is an essential need. Honoring constitutional law is a societal need. And when a person can walk away from a traffic stop alive, their constitutional rights have been met. So those are the things that really, really drive us. And again, the inspiration was given to me from the divine. That is my contention. And the solution was one that involves technology. So for that, we're grateful. We have developed our MVP, and it is, I will say, quite exceptional. Everyone we've shared it with has been impressed by what they have seen. We have the good fortune of having a number of law enforcement advisors on our team, most of whom are retired from the Cleveland, Ohio Police Department, and several of them worked in traffic. One, in fact, Sergeant Michael Richardson was the head of traffic patrol for the city of Cleveland for a number of years. And so they have given us great guidance on how to make our MVP the absolute best that it can be. So for that, we're grateful. And, you know, technology is important. I do want to mention one hindrance or one impediment or one shortcoming of our solution. Because it is technological, every user, particularly motorists, will have to have a smartphone. So people say, well, what about the people who don't have smartphones? I don't have an answer for them, unfortunately. My hope is that as time progresses, more and more people will have access to smartphones. And so we won't face that question. But I will also tell you that I encountered a woman in one of my cohorts, in one of the many accelerators that I've done. And she's done research on the number of Americans that have, citizens of the United States that have smartphones. And she says it's far more than people believe, that virtually everyone has a smartphone. So when we get our solution out in the world, I hope that is in fact the case. Jeremy, next slide. So I've shared with you the backstory, and we named the company Cocoon Technologies because our solution allows both law enforcement and motorists to remain in their cars. So the cars are the cocoon that provide the physical barrier and permit the physical distance between the motorist, the law enforcement officer, and any lethal weapons that are present during a traffic stop. So thus the name Cocoon Technologies. I'll also share with you that butterflies and cocoons are very important to me. Jeremy told you my entertainment firm is called Three Butterflies Entertainment and Press, Inc. And the reason for that is I lost my mother when I was a second-year law student. And I had the privilege of spending the last 9 days of her life with her. And I was there with my older sister, and she noticed my mother was having rapid eye movements. So she leaned in and she said, "Ma, what are you doing?" And my mother, who was on, medication because she's dying from cancer, said, "I'm in a field chasing butterflies." So when she said that, we lost our breath. It was just a beautiful and poignant moment. So now every time I see a butterfly, I think my mother's sending me a message. And thus the name of my companies, Three Butterflies and Cocoon Technologies. And again, the symbolism is let's keep people safe in the cocoons of their vehicles. So the process of conceptualizing the tech solution, again, it was inspired, divinely inspired. When I woke up the morning after learning about Dante Wright's death, the idea was literally nearly fully formed in my head. Excuse me. Why not use technology? Why not use vehicles to keep people safe? Is it absolutely necessary that a law enforcement officer go to someone's window with their hand on the gun? Now, what we want to do with Laura, our solution, again, license and registration app, is we want it to be a tool for law enforcement. And that means that every law enforcement agency we work with will set the policy as to when and how Laura is used. We'll be presenting to a rural county in Michigan very soon. And the undersheriff said to my advisor, this would be a great tool to start the conversation. So if that officer needs to go to the vehicle, they can do so. That's important because officers have been making great arrests of late, particularly with people who are transporting drugs. And so law enforcement always needs the flexibility to go to the vehicle, but our solution gives them basic, fundamental, key information at the onset. It also, because they'll communicate with the motorist via a video chat, the officer can gather evidence and data using the video chat that may aid them in their reporting of the traffic stop. So with our solution, it brings mutual comfort, security, and data collection to the encounter. So both the motorist and law enforcement will have a copy of the video chat. Law enforcement, however, gets additional information that the motorist does not get. So that's how we intend to keep both motorists and law enforcement officers safe during a traffic stop encounter. And so, I was sharing with Jeremy earlier that in this process of establishing Cocoon and in developing Laura, I have learned about the various categories that our solution falls in. I learned first that we're a mobility solution because it involves transportation. Then I came to understand it as justice tech because it seeks to bring, again, a level playing field to both law enforcement and the motorists during a traffic stop. And I'm fortunate in that I found a Cincinnati-based development company to work with, and they did a phenomenal job. I also have a chief technology officer and cybersecurity advisors who aided in the development of our solution. Next slide. So building the team, I have been fortunate, and I don't even know how I've built my team. I simply encountered people, particularly as I was doing a number of incubators and accelerators. I have probably participated in upwards to 15 different programs. And as a result, I've been able to meet professionals who really our mission and our solution resonated with them, and they wanted to work with us. And so for that, I am very grateful. I've also connected with a talent agency out of Michigan. Haven't had to use them yet, but we're forging a relationship in a variety of ways. So when the time comes, I'll be able to tap into their pool of candidates. I've also connected with an entity in Maryland called Fearless that does a accelerator for tech companies like mine called Hutch. We've been able to access some of the talent through Hutch. We've accessed talent through Tech Town in Detroit, of which we are a member. And I'm currently serving as a Halcyon Future Builders Fellow. And I have to tell you, the advisors that I've been able to get through Halcyon have really blown my mind. So, there are a variety of sources that tech startups can utilize to build their team. And one of the things that I say, and this is important to me, because we're a pre-revenue startup, I need to work with people who put mission above money. The money will come, but if the mission resonates with people and they make the commitment to work with us, we can work with them. And we do have a very diverse team. My advisors span various ethnic groups, various genders, as do the people who are centrally located on our team. We have had a couple of challenges. There have been a couple of people that I've had to let go because their motives shifted or they did not align with protocols that we put in place. And one of the things that I've learned in this process, and I've heard it repeatedly, is that you must hire slowly and fire quickly. And in firing quickly, we also need to do it with grace, because everyone is of value and everyone's time is of value. And sometimes there are hurt feelings and people see things differently than I do as the founder. But as the founder, I see myself as the steward of Laura. I am the one who is responsible to bringing it to the marketplace. And I have to have a team that aligns with the values that I share quite frequently and quite openly. So those are some of the things that I've learned. I love to have meetings where we have fun. I think we can be about our business, but also have a great time. It is important to me to have a team where people are respecting one another. I did have to let someone go who had a habit of making fun of people. I think it's great to have a wonderful sense of humor, but you do not make fun of people. That's inappropriate. So those are some of the challenges that we faced. And I will say, ultimately, it has been a great experience. And I've had a lot of fun in this journey. Next slide. All right. So as I mentioned earlier, I was fortunate enough to find an external dev team in Cincinnati to work with. And I found them because the wife of one of the members of the development team was a program manager at Flywheel. And she just happened to mention that her husband was in development. And I had already interviewed two prior teams. And the two prior teams, though great, they gave me this outrageous dollar amount for our MVP. And it was just far more than we could afford. So when I got with this new development team, the price was right. And not only was the price right, they were working very effectively and efficiently. They communicated well with me and my team. And when all was said and done, the MVP that they developed for me was extraordinary. So we're very happy and we'll be maintaining our relationship with them, even though I know as we grow, I have to hire an internal development team, but they have already said they will work with them. And so I'm very pleased about that. So strategies employed to bring the product to the target market. So I'm very fortunate again in that I have some wonderful advisors. We've had some interface with local police departments in Ohio and in Michigan. We have a commitment for a pilot site from the Middleburg Heights Police Department located in northern Ohio. It's a suburb of Cleveland, very near the Johns Hopkins International Airport. will be presenting to an undersheriff in Michigan in a rural community in March. And one of the things that's happened for us as a result of attending the NOBLE conference. NOBLE stands for the National Organization of Black Law Enforcement. After attending 2 of their conferences last year, we were able to interface with the United States Department of Transportation, Federal Motor Carriers Association. They are interested in using our solution to manage encounters between state troopers and truck drivers. When they shared with us the number of state troopers who are either killed or injured while attending to big rigs on the highway, it blew my mind. So we'll be exploring that opportunity. We will also be presenting to what's called FBI Sieges later in this year after we get some promotional videos made. And we met them at Noble as well. FBI Sieges, they told us that 200 to 300 law enforcement agencies will be a part of that meeting. So that will allow us to cast our net wide. We also have an advisor out of Techtown, Detroit, whose father is the former sheriff in Oakland County. So she understood the solution, very keen on it, and she has taken on the challenge to find us some pilot sites in Michigan. Lastly, I'll mention that as a result of being a Halcyon Future Builders Fellow, I have the benefit of another advisor who has been involved in national politics since the 1970s. She was actually influential in getting the Equal Rights Amendment passed, and she is deeply connected in Virginia and in Maryland. So we'll be putting together a go-to-market strategy that she will lead. And those are some of the communities where we're hoping to get our tentacles out in the field. So overcoming obstacles and learning from setbacks. Well, we've had some. One of the things that challenges us is law enforcement wants to go to the vehicle. That is what's called a pretextual stop. And so we have had to dialogue with them, hoping to overcome that. But it's a challenge. So we have to pivot. When you talk about communities that are impacted by deaths during traffic stops, again, the top 30 municipalities have paid out over $3 billion over the span of 10 years. Who really feels the pain? It is the citizens, because it's our tax dollars, but it's also the elected officials. So we're pivoting now, and we're going to be interfacing with elected officials in a way we had not before. So the first incubator that I participated in was the MIT Solves Unbundling Policing, Reimagining Public Safety Incubator. And one piece of advice they said was, you have to go to law enforcement so they don't feel put upon, as though the solution has been put upon them. That's kind of how they felt when it came to the body cams. And a number of weeks ago, the New York Times did an article dealing with the ineffectual nature of body cams. Why? Because law enforcement will often turn it off. Or if they take the video, they won't release it to citizens, or it will be redacted. And so elected officials now have to rethink how they want to approach policing in the 21st century. So a couple of weeks ago, the New York City Council passed a law that law enforcement must now record the age, the gender, and the ethnicity of everyone they stop in 3 levels of stops. Well, our solution can help with that, because what happens is the data is already in the system and it simply has to be triggered. So we'll be exploring interfacing with the New York City Council in due season. We want to be very strategic and methodical in our approach to them. So, you know, those are some of the setbacks that we have to face in bringing this innovative solution to policing. And let me also note, I think it's called the theory of diffusion, which talks about how 2% of the population are innovators. We need to apply that to every field we approach. So I have to find the 2% of innovators in law enforcement. That's like finding a needle in the haystack. And what I'm finding is those folks who operate on the federal level seem to be more inclined to innovation. So those are some of the insights that I'd share with you guys today. Next slide. So our hope is to reduce death, danger, and disease encountered during traffic stops. You know, we're still in the age of COVID. When you have face-to-face encounters, people can contract COVID and sadly they can perish. So that's what I'm referencing when I say disease. We also want to reduce the amount of money that communities have to pay out for wrongful death lawsuits resulting from police brutality. And we really believe in this day and age when people are used to video chats, that it can not permit situations to escalate, that people will feel more secure, they'll be calmer, they know they're being recorded, and hopefully will be on their best behavior. So those are some of the positive impacts we are expecting from Laura once it enters the marketplace. We do have a competitor in the space, but we believe our solution is best in class. And I intend to continue to iterate. I see a way in which we can iterate our solution for the execution of warrants, how it can also be used for parking citations and the like. So those are some of the things that we already have in mind. And the goal is to get Laura into the marketplace, secure a large portion of the market and continue to iterate. So how does Cocoon Technologies contribute to PeaceTech? Our goal, again, is to save lives. It is to reduce trauma. It is to reduce death, to reduce danger, to reduce disease, and to create a space where people know they will be safe during a traffic stop. And I think when both law enforcement and motorists can have that peace of mind, that solution, our solution, Laura, will contribute to peace on earth, not just in this country, but ultimately we want to go around the globe and contribute to peace in that way. Next slide. All right.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Dr. Lewis, for sharing your inspiring work and your founder journey at Cocoon Technologies.
Thank you.
Happy to open it up now to Q&A. We had one question or comment here from Edip Yüksel about talking to automotive manufacturers. Maybe you've already done this. Cars already come with videos and displays. Is it possible to integrate your program into the existing displays in the cars? And have you had any discussions with the car manufacturers?
Yeah, we actually had some dialogue with Ford in the early days and with General Motors. Why Ford? Ford is the largest producer of law enforcement vehicles in the United States. Why GM? They're interested in how Laura can integrate into OnStar, which is also in Subarus and one other car. Both said to us, though, that their process is very slow. So those relationships are ongoing. Hopefully, when the time is right, they'll decide they want to work with us. And just last night, I took third place in a plug and play pitch contest, which Stellantis sponsors. Stellantis is Chrysler and other brands. And so I had the chance to meet with one of their reps last night, and I'll be in dialogue with him.
Awesome.
Yep.
Any other questions out there? So I do have a question. We've been talking about PeaceTech and this innovation challenge that we're launching at PeaceRise. Did you realize that Cocoon Technologies was in the PeaceTech space? I know we had a little discussion before the call, but what are your thoughts about PeaceTech and this kind of this identifier for solutions that are working in the space?
Yeah, Jeremy, as I mentioned, I had no idea there was such a thing as PeaceTech until you and I spoke. And that's really been my experience. As I've gone along in this journey, I have found out that our solution fits into a variety of categories. First, I found out we're a mobility solution, right? Because of the transportation. Then I learned about justice tech, and we fit there. Then I learned about equity tech. Or Equitech is what some people call it. We fit in there. Why? Because we level the playing field for the motorist and law enforcement. And so to know that our solution falls into Peace Tech is quite exciting to me because I see that as a global movement, an essential movement. But as I shared with you, often what happens is, you're filling out these applications for accelerators or for grants, and they have their requirements. They have their categories that you must fit into. And so if I ever encounter an application that's for Peace Tech, excuse me, I know that Laura, Cocoon Technologies solution fits into it. So I would apply for that. These indicators are really great because they also help us figure out what ecosystems exist in our nation and around the globe and where we need to build relationship. I'm currently Zooming in with you from Detroit because I have meetings here because Detroit is a mobility ecosystem. It is the mobility hub of the United States. So when we're founders, as startup founders, we really need to plug into the appropriate ecosystems. And having these titles and knowing that our solutions fit into these various categories is what can help us find those communities where we need to build relationship.
Thank you, Dr. Lewis. Another question here is your advice for folks that have new solutions or are interested in, say, participating in PeaceRise and the Innovation Challenge. What suggestions do you have when coming up with new ideas or ways to connect with the ecosystem? It seems like you've participated in a number of different programs and are well connected in the space that you're working in. What advice do you give to new entrepreneurs and folks new to startup ecosystems?
Yeah, get out there and find out what opportunities exist and apply for everything that is appropriate. If it's not appropriate, don't waste your time and don't waste the funder or investor or the accelerator's time. A couple of weeks ago, again, as a result of being in Halcyon, I found out from one of my cohort members that applications that are turned in 2 weeks in advance of a deadline are often given priority and deemed very serious. So if you're applying for something, try not to do it at the last minute. Try to get that application completed and submitted 2 weeks before the deadline. And again, I'm serious when I say apply for everything that is appropriate. And oftentimes you have to apply once, two, three, or four times to get into something. And don't think if you don't get it the first time, you've wasted your time. I want to give you an example. I've mentioned a couple of times that I'm a Halcyon Future Builders Fellow. Halcyon reached out to me because I had applied for Camelback Ventures. I have applied twice and I have not gotten it yet. Camelback referred me to Halcyon. That means somebody has read my application, they have taken it seriously. And so seriously, they made this recommendation. I'm now in Halcyon. And what I think is happening is once I complete Halcyon, Camelback would deem me viable because of the work that I'm doing with Halcyon. So I will apply to Camelback, which awards, I think, $40,000 non-dilutive funding to startups that work in the Equitech space. So again, apply for everything. People tend to say, well, Leah, what happened with? If I haven't received an answer, I don't know. I apply for things and I completely and utterly forget about them until I get the notice. I do not do anxiety. I don't do anxiousness. I don't do that at all. So apply, submit, forget.
Awesome. Let's see. Another question here before we wrap up, and happy if anybody out there also wants to ask any questions to Dr. Lewis. You can pop them in the chat. But how did you deal with any challenges, or how did you navigate any challenges during the development of your technology? Creating a new technology and platform can be daunting, and finding those development partners to write the code or get the app up and running, it takes a lot of work. So I'm wondering if you can share a little bit about your experience navigating those obstacles or challenges during the development process.
Well, Jeremy, I have to tell you, we were fortunate. I would tell you that my advisor from TechTown, Mac Hendricks, said to me, he said, Leah, I have never seen a development go as smoothly as yours. We found a development team that was hungry. Though members of the team have been in tech for 20, 30 years, they had just started their company. So they were hungry for clients and they were hungry to prove that they have what it takes to do this work. And so they promised to deliver our solution in 90 days, and they did it in less than 90. Now, one of the things that I will say was a challenge at first, they had a new member, the younger member of their group, who was a little naive. And he said something in the meeting, our first meeting with my team. He said, well, we don't get paid to meet. Well, he was meeting with some seasoned individuals. I know you all see my gray hair. And one of my advisors said, that may be so, but you are paid to develop this solution and to deliver it in a timely fashion. We are not going to just let you go down this road and you end up developing something we do not want. So as a result of that remark, we ended up meeting with our development team every Friday until they delivered the product. And every Friday, they had to give us an update, a review, a preview of what they had achieved. And so that is one thing I will say. You have to get, especially if they're an external dev team, a dev team that is willing to meet with you, to show you what they're doing. So if there is a need for a course correct, it is taken in short order and not after you're 10 miles down the road and you're only going 12. So you got to find a team that's willing to meet, to put in the time. That was a learning experience for their young member. He came to see the wisdom of meeting every week. And I don't think he'll ever make a statement like, we don't get paid to meet. So, but vet your team. Again, the team that we ended up using was the third team. Actually, it was the fourth team that I vetted. In that process, we met with one team and it was so obvious within 15 minutes of meeting that they were not a good fit for us. So we cut that meeting short. I mean, I could look at the faces of my team on screen and I just knew it was not going to work. So there were two teams we were going to work with, but their prices were extraordinary. And we were fortunate enough to find DeveloCode in Cincinnati. We worked with them, and I give them the highest of ratings.
Amazing. Thank you.
Mhm.
Before we wrap up here, I'd love to hear about your perspective and vision of the role of technology in this evolving field of public safety and policing. Where do you see it going in the next 10 years?
Ooh, I don't know. What I will say, Jeremy, is I think that where technology goes, elected officials are going to have a big hand in the direction. Again, I want to highlight what the New York City Council has done. We're going to need to see more, and I know this could be a hotbed term, but more progressive action. And I don't want to use progressive in terms of politics, but I want to use it in terms of technology. So we're talking about innovation, right? What innovation comes in the public safety, in the PeaceTech space, legislators are going to have a hand in. And again, remember that theory of diffusion, the 2% of innovators in any given population. Those people have to take the lead. Hopefully we'll have early adopters with Laura for for example. And then we know we have the late adopters and we have the laggards. We have to be mindful of that model because it's very real. And if we're trying to innovate for public safety, there are going to be pockets of resistance simply because some people don't like change. And I'm not sure that we're at a point yet in the human race where technology is everyone's go-to. We're not there yet. So I think there will be changes. There will be changes for the better. But I think those of us who are innovators still need some measure of patience with the process. We have to strive to find those people who are like-minded, who are as innovative as we are, who are open to using technology, and who see its benefit. I do believe this is the way of the future. I tell people that Laura is Jetsonian. So for those who remember the Jetsons the cartoon back in the day, I think we're moving in that direction, but it's just not happening rapidly. It is still gradual. It is still a process. We have to be patient, but we also have to be futuristic, visionary, and innovative.
Amazing. Thank you so much for the inspiring words, Dr. Lewis. And thanks for joining us on today's session. Thank you all who have joined live and are watching this recording. Don't forget, the conversation doesn't end here. We invite you to tune into our next session, Tuesday, February 27th at 12 p.m., a Braintrust by Paul D'Souza on Do Good and Do Well, Mastering Go-to-Market Strategy. Stay tuned for more details and make sure to mark your calendars. Thanks again, Dr. Lewis. Hope you have a beautiful day.
Thank you. Thank you, Jeremy. And thank you all who joined us. I look forward to interfacing with you in the future. Take care.